Hi everyone! So today I'm inside making this video. No idea why, but I'm here. This morning I've been out walking. Lots of things happening. Anyway, I wanted to share with you my weekend, my experience with a shaman, which in many ways is personal, but in other ways is something that I feel able to share without all of the personal information that I received or experienced during the encounter, but to share with you the wonder of the universe and how a series of events or a series of occasions or a series of synchronicities or a series of whatever led me to where I found myself on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Forgive the way I look. It's been an incredibly enlightening experience that I don't believe words can ever describe. But I will share with you the build up to this whole past weekend. And I believe it all began last November when I inadvertently bumped into my beloved in a city of 15 million people in Moscow. And a series of events that have allowed me to go deeper within. And the experience that I can say that led me, the whole series of events that led me to this weekend was as if I was being prepared for what was about to happen. And it's certainly not something that I would recommend to my friends, so don't all go running out looking for your closest shaman. It's something very, very unique and different. But since January, beginning of January, there's been this new energy, this new path, this new destiny, this new living life every day for what it is, without really without any expectations. But the mind is still thinking, the mind is still functioning, the mind is still playing its role as our protector and as our functioning muscle. Without our brain, we can do very little, if anything. Our bodies can't function without our brain. Our brain is an essential tool to our functionality. But our brain is also our biggest, the biggest thing that we need to overcome. So, this last 6 weeks I've been involved in a completely new project with some completely new people, which is literally located 80 kilometers from my home, which is about creating something very new. Things are moving with regard to that. And the more and more time I have spent, the more and more I have become involved. And this has led me to using and relying on the skills and knowledge that I've learned in the last 50 years of my existence, with context that I've gleaned from here, and really this life experience here in this part of the world in Croatia. So I'm putting this knowledge to the test. I'm putting this knowledge and skill to help others to achieve their goals, as well as giving the information and knowledge that I have. Anyway, a few weeks ago, I was having a meeting in a city of 100,000 people called Osijek, which is 35 kilometers from my home, trying to resolve a dispute regarding a project that I'm involved with, trying to create this peaceful resolution that enables me to be freed up so that I can do what I need to do for this project, because it involves a certain aspect that is subject to dispute. So I'm sitting in a meeting, introduced to a new guy, and a new guy says to me something or other, and then they're talking about spirituality, they're talking about shaman. And he described that he just met he just had an encounter on the weekend, which took him on a journey. And immediately my senses said, okay, I need to meet this shaman. And within an hour, that conversation was had, and it was agreed that I would meet the next time I was in Osijek. And the following week, I was brought back to Osijek to again resolve or try to resolve the situation that I'm trying to help. And we arranged to meet the shaman for coffee. And, you know, there's no expectation about this. You can't describe how, what, or, you know, I just kept an open mind about what I would like to do. And I would like to discover this shaman aspect of my life, this spiritual aspect of my life, these past lives that I've carried with me for eons. And one of the things I know is that I'm ready. I'm ready for that next, let's say, elevation, the ascension, the part of the process that brings us in touch with the divine. And each of us has a special connection. We have our own unique connection with the divine, and it will transpire, or it will reveal itself in the way that it's supposed to reveal itself. And that's why I haven't gone to look for a shaman. I've always believed that these things come to us when we're ready. So at this time I was ready. I was ready to receive. I was opening. I'd opened myself to wanting to take this next step, or this next step in my life, this self-discovery, this discovery of who I am. So we had arranged to proceed with a Kambo ceremony on Friday of last week, on the 10th of February, and then I would take the journey with ayahuasca tea on Saturday, the 11th. So this was planned. The shaman told me not to try to do my best, not to research, not to do this. And of course, I didn't do any research because I don't believe in wanting to know the answers about this divine connection, because everyone is different. Everyone is unique. And I know, and I remember somebody tried to caution me, oh, be careful with this ayahuasca tea, blah, 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 blah. And I said, okay, it is what it is. It has come to me. This connection has come to me. I haven't gone looking for it. It has come to me. Therefore, I have to trust it. Therefore, I have to trust in the divine, that this is part of the divine purpose and part of my soul journey throughout this planet and throughout this lifetime, that I need to connect with this person to enable me to see what I need to see. So last week, last week, I was pretty busy with work with regard to this project, and one day I was forced to stop. I was literally forced to stop. I was forced to sleep. The dreams, the incredible sensations that I was feeling, and it was all about rest. But the dreams were all about a connection with my beloved. For 5 days I was dreaming. For 4 days I had multiple dreams about my beloved, about this connection, the twin soul connection. I had a deep conversation with my daughter, and I just believed that this was all part of the clearing process, the purging process, to get me to the point on Friday where I would be completely ready and surrendered to, let's say, the physical purging within myself. Because I'm aware that these Kambo ceremonies and ayahuasca tea ceremonies are loaded with purging. So anyway, I had great support from my soul brothers and sisters to help me through this period of complete, let's say, complete having to do nothing. I was not able to do anything. As soon as I started to do something that was outside of myself, I was stopped. So it was an incredible build-up to meeting the shaman on Friday. I was going to the shaman with the guy that I was talking to the previous 2 weeks about his experience. He was going for his Kambo ceremony. I was going to join him. And on Friday evening, we had arranged to meet the shaman around 5:30 or 6 o'clock. So I arrived in the city Osijek on Friday. Meetings that I was supposed to have didn't happen. Meetings that other meetings happened that were part of the process of the 3D reality world. And then on Friday evening, I was with this guy who was going with me to the shaman, and we went to a local coffee shop, somewhere I've never been before in my life. And there I'm sitting in a bar, and I looked at the TV, and there's a game of football, and I don't like football. I'm not a football fanatic, but what I saw on the TV at the other end of the room was the advertising banners, and I'm looking at the advertising banners and saying to me, I don't believe what I'm seeing. And I could see that the town playing is Osijek, but I didn't know who the other town was playing, and I could see advertising commercials for the company name of my beloved in Moscow. So I asked my friend Marco, who's playing football? He said Spartak Moscow. This is a historic game. It's never happened before. Osijek are there practicing for winter warm-ups, in readiness for their summer season of football. This is a historic game, and I just said, so this game is being played in Moscow. Yes, this game is in Moscow. So half an hour before I go to the shaman, I'm seeing synchronicities of my beloved, but not just random synchronicities. This is connecting these two cities that have never been connected before, live, in a game of football, which is also sponsored by a company that my beloved works for. So this is something incredibly random. This is something incredibly powerful. And this was something that allowed me to believe and feel that my beloved was with me and going to be with me throughout this experience or this encounter with the shaman, as if it's meant to be. And synchronicities leading up to this are all incredibly powerful, and it all, during my experience with the shaman, I can safely say that what I gleaned from this encounter was everything is meant for a reason, and we have no control over what is going to happen. We believe that we have control. We believe that we've surrendered. We believe that we've let go, but we haven't really. So on Friday, after this coffee shop, we go to the shaman's house. We're greeted, and I haven't read anything about this, so I don't know what to expect, and I don't want to know what to expect. All I've been told is that expect to vomit. And this is something, to prepare yourself psychologically. So I arrived there, and this aroma of sage, the energy space had been cleared. We were welcomed. There was a bucket greeting me. This is your bucket, Dean. There was another bucket for my friend. And I was told what was going to happen. So my arm was scratched 5 times. And I believe I'm going to try and show you now the effect. So these are the 5 marks from the medicine that I received on Friday. The encounter was something that I've never experienced in my life. I'm not going to describe the sensations because they're personal. And each of us has our own reaction or action. But vomiting is part of the process. After 45 minutes, everything had gone through, I had reacted how I was meant to react. I had released whatever was held inside of me. I had released physically and forcibly some energies that didn't sit with my body. I purified my body in a way that I was prepared for the tea ceremony on Saturday evening. I didn't know where I was going to stay or what I was going to do, so I ended up leaving, and we walked a few kilometers forever, and I stayed at Marco's house, and we had a few smokes, and I just wanted to rest, but I didn't rest, but I did rest. I was in a new place, I was in a strange place, so I didn't rest comfortably. The next day, Saturday, again, I spent a lot of time out in nature, and in the evening, I had planned to attend the shaman's house on Saturday around 6 p.m. The moon was full. I arrived, and the house number is number 8, sign of infinity. I arrived, I'm greeted, how am I, etc., etc. And I'm told that the ceremony will last between 4 to 6 hours to completely relax. I was alone with the shaman. He would guide me. He would be there for me. He was to watch over me to ensure that everything was cool. Then began the first cup of tea that really tastes. Oh, it's indescribable. Don't sip it, scull it. Shot glass, which is what I did. I then waited for about 30 minutes, and I was given the second cup, which formed the combination required for the tea to do its work. I took the second cup. I was then shown to my room. I was told to close my eyes, and if I was cold, there's a blanket, etc., etc. Within an hour, I have no idea where I was. I had no perception of where I was, but I knew where I was. I knew that I was safe. And I could feel my body resisting. I could feel my body fighting this, let's say, chemical reaction, or this strange concoction in my body. And I was trying to resist it, and my mind was clear, and this is the one thing, my mind was clear, but my body was holding back. In the end, I just threw everything up, vomited, and then I felt better. I started to go on a journey, wherever that took me, the shaman came into me again and gave me another cup, which again was revolting. Another cup of tea, which was the second dose. Again, 35 minutes, 40 minutes went past, or whatever time. I never had a watch on. The time doesn't exist really. And again, I vomited. I then began to rest. Then things started to happen, and then the shaman came into me and told me that my stomach really, my body, I was in like a fetal position. He could sense my body not wanting to allow the journey to proceed. So I took a smoke of green, whatever we want to call it, to calm myself, to relax my stomach. And within 10 minutes, I was in a completely other dimension. What I saw, I'm not going to go into. With what I experienced, I'm not going to go into. But what I can say is it gave me a perception that we are all together, that we are all in contact with each other, that we are all love. And whatever part of us perceives and believes in true love, and we've connected with somebody in a way that defines that true love, this came to pass during the ceremony. It was almost as if it was like a ritual. It was almost as if it was like the Hunger Games without the blood and gore, that we are all participants in a bigger global message that is far greater than anything that our pea-brain can comprehend. That there is a higher power without a label, that we are here as twin flames or as twin souls, as the chosen ones. Certain people that have helped me along my journey, including some of the, let's say, spiritual elite, did appear, and I was able to say to them what I needed to say to them. I was also able to question certain individuals that don't fit the label or don't fit the message of the divine. And this then proceeded what felt like 20 minutes, but effectively was another until dawn the next day. And we can say it's a psychedelic experience. We can say that it was an out-of-body experience. We can say that it was a within-body experience. But what I saw and what I felt gave me the answers for myself. It allowed me to go within myself and to really understand that no matter how we think or believe that we have let go, how really we haven't. Our bodies are holding on to the remnants of what we believe is to be true. Our body doesn't want to believe in this higher existence or this other dimension that does exist. Our bodies are the vessels that prevent us from achieving our highest good or our highest potential. And it's this combat, this battle between mind, body, soul, and heart. And whatever soul experience I felt was very real, was very lucid, was very vivid, was very real. I could see everything, I could touch, I could hear everything. The only thing I couldn't do was physically touch, but I felt the ability to touch. The journey continued the next morning. I may have slept for a couple of hours. And again, I was told that this is part of the process. Whatever chemical or neurological situation had occurred would continue. Things would continue to make sense. Things would continue to happen, and would continue to provide answers to what questions that I was seeking. In a nutshell, the experience was one of complete awe. The knowing that what I felt is to be true is true. I felt the presence of a lot of my soul brothers and sisters. I felt the presence of my beloved. I had conversations. it does speak to you. But to take it into a complete perspective, it's one that I've had to say is look at myself. All of these things that have happened for a reason. They're giving me the answers to myself, to who I am. They've given me the answers to the love that I feel for another is the love that I feel for myself. And that love is of the most paramount value that we need to cherish it. We need to cherish it and nurture it in such a way that it's like a little child. And it always has to be played with like a little child. It has to be kept fresh, young, exciting. And that to believe that the ascension journey is just the beginning. Those that write about ascension or are experiencing ascension for gain are those that really don't know what the true ascension is. And this is what it felt like. It felt much like that everything that's happened since my awakening journey has been a test. There have been goals, there have been tests, there have been a series of things that have needed to be gone through to get to this state of, if I can say it, the beginning of true ascension. An ascension that nobody knows about, that nobody writes about, that very few experience, because they're not brave enough to fully surrender to what power or abilities are within the mind or the soul or the heart. So there's a lot of theory about ascension and what it means and what prevails. But there are very few experiences. I did have the pleasure of meeting many, many soul brothers and sisters, many twins that were there in presence, supporting each other. And what was, I suppose, the saddest part of it all was seeing that ascension over Gaia and watching the demise of Gaia, but knowing within that we are the change. And without this demise, there cannot be change. People are too focused on what can be instead of what is, and they must face some form of destruction or removal or breaking of what they believe is to be true and what their soul says is the truth. So I do believe that this is part of an ongoing ascension program, and it was very much like Matrix. It was very much so many, the pictures, are very personal. The experience was completely out of body. The experience was completely Matrix. It was surrender to everything. And what I went through physically and bodily was the physical letting go of everything that I believed was to be true, to enable myself to go to this higher dimension, to enable myself to experience the pure beauty and tranquility of the essence of love. This is not something that I would recommend to my friends. This is not something that I would say that you should go and try. It's not something that I would say that you go and seek. Allow it to seek you. And when it comes across your path, then you know that you're ready to experience another perspective or another ancient practice of spirituality and connection with one. What will be, will be. What I've experienced is unique, is incredible, is powerful, is in effect in 2 dimensions. What exists here in this reality is our bodily experience. what we experience in another dimension is our spiritual and soul experience. And we ourselves will determine how we are going to lead our lives going forward and how we are going to accept this double reality, this duality, the duality that exists, or we allow ourselves to rise and ascend above to the next dimension. Thank you for allowing me to share some of my experience with you. Today is Valentine's Day, but Valentine's Day is one day a year where love is celebrated. We should be celebrating love every single day of every single year for the rest of our lives, because love is the purest source energy that we can have, that we possess,